Have you ever watched someone try to provoke you? Have you felt the heat rise in your chest? The words assemble on your tongue like soldiers ready to defend your honor, your truth, your very right to exist in the room, and somehow, against every instinct, you remain still? Have you ever discovered that in the space between their attack and your response, there lives a power so complete, so unassailable, that no argument could ever grant it? If you have tasted this quiet strength that needs no permission, this authority that speaks without speaking, then this story is for you. Because sometimes the most devastating weapon you possess is the one you choose not to use. Once in a coastal city of merchants and diplomats, where information was currency and words were weapons, there lived a woman named Amara. Everyone in the trading houses knew her well. If a competitor spread rumors about her prices, they waited for her defense. If a partner pressed for concessions, they expected her counter. If a rival mocked her methods, they anticipated her explanation, her justification, her entry into the game they had already prepared to win. But Amara played differently. When they attacked, she listened. When they pressed, she paused. When they demanded her words, she offered her presence calm, complete, utterly unshakable. She never explained her strategy. She never defended her reputation. She never entered battles she had not chosen. She simply smiled and said, when she said anything at all, "I see." She believed that power belonged to those who needed nothing from their opponents. She believed that silence was not emptiness, but fullness so complete it required no validation. But slowly, without her seeking it, her stillness was misunderstood, as stillness always is. Her competitors called her cold. Her partners called her distant. Her own family worried that she was hiding something, building something, preparing some move they could not see. They tested her constantly. They spread lies to force her hand. They offered deals designed to make her speak, to explain, to commit, to reveal. They created crises specifically to watch her break her pattern, to prove she was human, to drag her into the noise where they were comfortable, and she was not. Amara's assistant looked at her with worried eyes and said, "Madam, they are destroying your name. They are stealing your clients. They are winning because you will not fight. Why do you let them take everything?" Amara always gave the same small smile and replied, "They are taking nothing. They are only revealing themselves." One day, she promised herself, they will understand what silence truly costs. But that day felt distant, and the pressure mounted, and the world grew louder in its demand that she become loud with it. One winter morning, the crisis finally came. A rival named Castellanos had spent months preparing his trap. He had forged documents suggesting Amara's silence was not strategy, but guilt, evidence of deals with pirates, bribes to officials, crimes she had never committed. He presented them at the guild council, before all the merchant houses. He spoke for an hour, weaving his narrative, offering his proof, demanding her response, her explanation, her defense, her words. The room turned to her. Amara sat in her chair of dark wood. She felt the weight of every eye, their hunger for drama, their need to see her break her pattern and enter the arena where Castellanos waited with his next 10 arguments, his next 100 documents, his endless supply of words designed to exhaust her into error. She looked at him. She looked at the council. She said nothing. The silence stretched. 10 seconds. 30. A full minute. Castellanos began to speak again, to fill the void, to demand her response, but his voice had changed. Higher, faster, defensive. Amara simply watched him, and in her silence, the room began to see. They saw his sweat. They saw his hurry. They saw that he had prepared for a battle, but found only a mirror reflecting his own desperation. She stood. She walked to the documents. She touched them once, turned them over, revealed the watermark that proved their forgery, a detail visible to any eye, but invisible to any mouth that would not stop talking. She returned to her seat. She said nothing. The council dismissed the charges. Castellanos left the city within the month, and Amara's silence became legend. But more importantly, in that long minute of stillness, Amara had discovered something she had only suspected. Her silence was not absence. It was power so complete it needed no translation. That evening, exhausted and transformed, Amara visited an old woman named Suin, who lived in a temple above the harbor, who had taught her meditation years before she understood what meditation truly meant. Suin was sweeping the stone courtyard when she arrived. She did not look up. "Amara," she said, "you have stopped playing their game." Amara sat on the cold step. "Suin, I don't understand what happened today. I did nothing. I said nothing. And yet everything changed. Why does emptiness feel so full? Why does silence feel so loud?" Suin leaned on her broom. "Look at the ocean, Amara. Does it defend itself against the wind? Does it explain why it is deep? Does it argue with the boats that cross it?" Amara watched the water move against the rocks below. "No," she said. "It simply is." "Exactly." Suin resumed her sweeping. "The ocean does not need to prove its depth. Its silence contains everything. And when the storm comes, it is the wind that exhausts itself, not the water." She turned to Amara. "For the next 7 days, practice strategic silence. When someone demands your reaction, offer your attention instead. When they insult you, let the insult hang in the air until they hear its own ugliness. When they press for your strategy, let them press against your stillness. Try this. You will see what happens." "But what if they think I have no answer?" Amara asked. Suin smiled. "They will think what they think, but they will feel your power. And feeling is the truth that thinking cannot reach." The first test came the next morning. A young merchant burst into her office, demanding immediate partnership, threatening to take his business to her rival, filling the room with urgency and ultimatum. Amara sat behind her desk. She watched him. She breathed. She said nothing. He repeated himself. He raised his voice. He listed consequences. He waited for her counter, her negotiation, her entry into the dance he knew. He stared at her. He refused. He demanded her answer. She sipped her tea. Finally, he sat down. His urgency drained into the silence like water into sand. He began to speak honestly, his real fears, his real needs, the truth behind his threats. Amara listened. She did not promise. She did not explain. She simply heard him completely. When he finished, she said, "I will consider this." He left grateful for being heard. And Amara had learned that silence was not passive. It was the most active force she possessed. The next day, a competitor sent a letter of vicious slander, copied to every house in the city. Amara's advisors demanded she respond. Sue, destroy him with proof of his lies. She burned the letter unread. She did not explain this choice. She did not defend it to her advisors. She simply acted, and let them wonder, and let the city wonder, and let her competitor wonder most of all. He came to her within the week, offering apology, offering alliance, offering anything to understand what she knew that he did not. She accepted his apology. She declined his alliance. She offered nothing else. That evening, instead of drafting defenses, she walked the harbor wall. The wind was cold. The stars were clear. She felt no need to share this with anyone, to document it, to transform it into content for consumption. She simply existed in her own life, fully, privately, completely. On the 4th day, the unexpected happened. A delegation arrived from the northern provinces, seeking the city's most reliable merchant for a contract that would secure generations. They had watched the council. They had heard the stories. They had observed who spoke and who simply was. They chose Amara, not because she had defended herself best, but because she had needed to defend herself least. Days turned into weeks. Amara became a different woman. She stopped attending meetings designed to force her hand. She stopped reading communications designed to provoke her response. She discovered that her silence created space for her own thoughts to clarify, for her own strategies to mature, for her own power to accumulate without dissipation into argument. Her competitors could not predict her. Her partners could not manipulate her. Her own mind could not betray her. People began to value her words more, not less. When she spoke, rooms leaned in. When she wrote, markets moved. She was no longer a woman in constant negotiation with the world. She was a woman who had learned that her presence was sufficient. One afternoon, Suin came to the harbor. She found Amara on her ship, preparing to sail north for the new contract. She asked softly, "So, Amara, the life she had built not by conquering noise, but by transcending it?" "No," she said. "In fact, My world finally became large enough to hold me. Suin nodded. When you stop filling the air with your defense, you finally hear your own wisdom. When you stop answering every attack, you finally choose your own battles. This is power, Amara. Not the power to dominate, the power to be free. So, my friend, are you like Amara? Are you exhausting yourself in explanations that explain nothing? Are you defending against attacks that would dissolve if you simply refuse to receive them? Are you translating yourself into languages that diminish you with every translation? Remember this. Silence is not surrender. It is the battlefield you refuse to give your enemy. Stillness is not weakness. It is the strength that needs no witness. You do not owe your attacker your attention. You do not owe your silence any explanation at all. Protect your peace. Honor your stillness. Trust your presence. Because when you stop filling the air with your defense, you finally hear how powerful you truly are.